Have you ever felt like there's something missing in your music? That spark, that signature sound, something that will make your tracks stand out from the crowd. And you've been probably experiencing this problem for a while, trying to solve that, but things just don't seem to really click and work. So if you can relate to that, and if you've been experiencing that for a while, in this video, I'm gonna share 10 steps that I took to find my own signature sound. And regardless of your level, if you take time to implement and really work on those steps, you will find your own signature sound in music that will make your tracks stand out from the crowd. For those of you who are new to your channel, my name is Vlad and I create superstar music producers. And if you're interested in coaching, if you need help with finding your own signature sound, help with mixing, sound design, production, and arrangement, feel free to book a call with me. There's a link down below. You can send me a message on Instagram or book a call right away. I have a flagship program, and in 10 weeks, I'm gonna help you to go from your current level to professional industry standard quality with your music so you can sound like your favorite artists. And without further talking, let's get straight into this video. This is something that worked for me, so I can for sure tell you from my own experience that this stuff works if you really take time to implement and practice those things, okay? So, number one, define your musical identity. So what I'm talking about is like really understanding what is the sound that I want in music. So reflection, step one, begin with a journaling session. What emotions or images do you want your music to evoke? And this is really important if you're taking music seriously, because if you can spend some time actually like outlining, describing, journaling, this will give you so many ideas and a deep and full understanding what kind of sound you want in music. Again, really important. Next step, inspiration. Create a playlist of tracks that resonate with your musical identity and frequently refer back to it. And you constantly want to find new tracks because that's gonna help you a lot. I'm gonna be giving you some examples in Ableton of my own music and how I evolved throughout the years of production. So for example, let's say that your sound is dark, sharp, and aggressive. That's one variation. Or maybe you like soft, balanced, happy, and bright sound, like as you can see on the picture number 2. See, it's all about what you want exactly, how you can imagine and what you want. Maybe you want both. This is possible, right? When you learn how to use the tools, how to produce, you can do both, like really, really easily. So again, it's all about imagining and understanding what do I want from music? How do I want my music to sound? Once you understand it, you will have clear steps to follow. Let me give you 2 examples of my own music. So I'm gonna show you a couple of tracks from 2019 and compare that with the tracks that I make right now. So I want you to listen to the style, to how the tracks feel and how cohesive the sound is, that like all of these tracks, you can hear that they were made by one person, right? So let me show you the first one. That was like one of the best tracks that I produced at that time. Let me show you the second one. Pretty similar, right? Then another one, which is going to be really, really similar to that. Same sounds, same atmosphere. That's what I'm talking about. Once you understand what you want, you'll be able to achieve that. And then 3 other examples of the tracks that I produce right now. They are going to be really, really similar as well. Another one. and then another one. All right, so you should get the idea by now. I'll be showing you more techniques and steps that you can take for that, okay? So break down the key elements. Once you identify the elements, the tracks that you like, classify the elements that you love. So instruments, genres, tempo, like literally try to list out everything. And from your list, pick the top 3 to 5 elements that resonate the most, the elements that you want to focus on. So I suggest that's going to be kick, bass, drums, and then like the melodies or like harmonies or the melodic elements. This will be your initial focus. So what I'm talking about is focusing on just a couple of key elements at once. If you're still in the process of finding your sound, focus on a couple of key elements until you master them, and then you can shift to other elements, other sounds, and other genres. So it's much easier to focus on one thing at once than trying to master like different genres and like different techniques that include different skill set, right? So focus on one thing and then transition to the next steps, to the next genre, like anything that you want to work on, okay? The next useful thing that you can do is create like a table of the sounds, like literally like elements. So for example, you can list the element that I like, could be like the bass, kick, literally anything. What I don't like in this element, maybe how the other producer used this element in his track, what I would do differently to make it better, and how I would use this element in my music. And then I would suggest you for you to add 2 more categories to that table. So category, sound design, mix and kick, bass, anything, and how can I make this sound better in my music. So that's what I would do. If you want an interactive table that you can fill in with your signature sounds, elements, and so on, I have put together a Notion template that you can use with all of the tables. So for example, you can put, you can see the table here, element that I like, what I don't like about it, and so on, element type. So this is all interactive. I made that for my paid course, but in this video, I'm gonna give this away for free. So if you want help with finding your sound, this is gonna be one of the best steps that you can take. So you can see it has questions, it has assignments, soundboard. So literally everything that you would need to really analyze and see, like imagine your sound, how it would sound like. So if you're interested, there's a link down below. You can download this template for free, and let's continue with the next steps. Okay, so that's it about breaking down your elements, and by now you should understand why it's really important. Next step, dive deep into the music theory. I'm not gonna dive like really deep in this video into the music theory, but I'm gonna give you a couple of very, very important and practical tips. So as you do with finding your key elements, like identifying your key elements, you want to do the same thing with the music theory. So define your signature favorite key elements in music, like melodies and harmonies, what kind of melodies and harmonies you like in your music. For example, I like dark, exotic, and oriental vibe. I will give you examples in Ableton, and I use that in almost every single track. And because of that, it's really easy to make new tracks, to make new melodies. Once you understand that, focus on making melodies and harmonies in this style. For example, to help you, you can search on YouTube how to make chord progressions or melodies in Phrygian scale. Phrygian scale is the one that I use the most, and you can also check breakdowns of different modes on YouTube. So what is Phrygian, Dorian, Mixolydian scale, and so on. Right? So before we jump into Ableton, again, 2 examples. If you have the sound in your mind that you're gonna go for, let's say for me it's gonna be organic oriental tech house, we want to simplify the process, so focus on one type of harmonic melodic signature style. So on the second picture you can see it's like a tree, right? So we could go hard techno direction, dubstep, drum and bass, rhythm. So as opposed to that, you can try learning 100 things at once, and the problem is going to be that you're gonna lose focus on the direction. You will get lost in that. So focus on mastering one thing at once. Now, let me show you what I mean in Ableton. So I've already shown you these examples, right? Now I want to show you 2 other tracks. So listen to the melodies. The melodies are like so similar, not exactly the same, but very, very similar. Like the style, the feel, and so on is like very similar. So this track has that exotic, dark, oriental vibe. And this is what I'm using in every single track. And because of that, it's like very, very simple to come up with melodies. And I'm going to show you a couple of tips in Ableton that you can use for that too. And another example, it's like completely different type of track. This is more like minimal, deep tech, something like that. But again, the melody remains the same. Same vibe as I said. So a couple of practical tips that you can do in Ableton right away. So if you go to MIDI effects, you can go to scale, and here you can find, for example, Phrygian dominant. And then regardless of the keys that you press, you're gonna still play in the key. Let's say in this case it's gonna be C, C Phrygian. Let me solo. Right? And then you can switch the scale, right? So for example, maybe you can do minor and it's going to give you like a completely different vibe. And then one more thing that you can do, if you don't want to go with the MIDI effect, here in Ableton, you can select scales. Again, let's say that's going to be C, and that's going to be Phrygian dominant. And here you can have the notes. So utilize the scales and just try to learn the music theory. I'm going to be making some more music theory videos. Don't worry if I didn't cover, or maybe like if some things still didn't click. Okay, so that's the thing with understanding the music theory, why it's really important to focus on the melodies and the harmonies that you really, really like. Okay, and the reason why I was so successful in finding my own sound is because I focused on one thing at once. I already knew what kind of sound I wanted in my tracks. And if you listen to my tracks on Spotify, like the first ones that I made, they still had that sound. So I already had the idea, and so do you. You already have the idea. It's just about exploring the techniques and familiarizing yourself with the workflow, like how you can achieve the sound. And once you do that, again, it will be so much easier to progress because you do one step at a time, one thing at a time. Rhythmic foundations. This is going to be an interesting one. So you want to have signature rhythm, melodies, sound design, arrangement in your music if you want to make it stand out. And one of the ways to do that, again, that's going to be finding the rhythms that you like. So how do you do that? Analysis. You can slow down your favorite tracks and dissect the rhythms, or you can do it without slowing it down. Like, really depends on what works best for you. So practice. Start with basic drum patterns. As you get comfortable, add complexity. So for example, syncopated rhythms, polymeters, polyrhythm, and things like that. So you can experiment. The bonus exercise that you can do is download some free drum loops, libraries, whatever, analyze and try to recreate the MIDI pattern. And this is going to give you so much understanding what kind of drums you can do for your music. So let me show you 2 examples. Let's say we have those drum loops, for example, like this. And what you do, so you create a MIDI track, and then you put a drum rack onto this one, and then you just simply try to recreate. And since you have the audio waveform, you will be seeing what exactly they put in their drum loop. And the same thing you could apply to another drum loop. So the more you do that, the better you will understand the rhythm, and you will be able to craft your own signature rhythms for your music. So for example, if we do like this. we can hear the hat, then we can hear the open hat, sort of like clap or something like that. Here we can have, right? You can hear that there's a cymbal here. And then you just try to recreate that. That's going to help you a lot to understand rhythm and study that, and come up with interesting rhythms for your music. Now, the next step, crafting the perfect arrangement. So what I really recommend doing, and what helped me to develop my own arrangement style, so to say, is listening to favorite tracks. So note down the song structure and try to break down the arrangement. I really recommend checking my previous video, one of the previous videos on the arrangement. So it's going to be somewhere like up here. It breaks down the arrangement, the key to arranging your music. So make sure you check it out. The next step that you want to do in your DAW, set up arrangement templates based on your findings. Make it easier to start new projects. So for example, this is one of the structures that I use often. It's not like the main one, I can still use another one, but this is the one of the templates that work for me. So the intro, the drop 1, which is not as energetic as the drop 2. So usually the climax of the track is in the drop 2. This is where I have the most energy. This is the most interesting part of the track. So usually in a lot of cases, the first drop, it's mellow. It's just like balanced enough, but it's not too much, right? The focus is on the second drop. This is where like everything hits really hard on the dance floor. And what's the best thing about that is you can create multiple templates for arrangement. That's sort of the thing with the signature sound. And this is the slide from the arrangement tutorial. I'm going to show you something in Ableton. Basically, you can copy this structure. So intensity just goes like up and down, up and down. So I'm not going to explain a lot because I already did that in the previous video. So just check out the link and you'll be able to see the whole thing. And now let me show you what I mean. So I have this track. So I made the second drop really energetic. So take a listen at the first drop. So this is the intro. Pay attention to the energy, how that feels. So even the next part of the, like it has some good energy, but now I want to compare that to the second drop where the climax is. There's so much more energy in this part. And then again, like this is just one of the templates that worked really well for me. So you can copy that, or you can come up with something that is going to be your art. But the key is to listen to your love music, analyze and experiment. See what kind of arrangements work for you. And then if you DJ, test that on the dance floor. So far, it's been one of the best techniques that helped me to identify weak parts and elements in my track. So try to DJ, just like perform with your music. It will give you so many insights on your tracks. Okay, let's go to the next step. Develop signature mixing style. So again, this is all about understanding what kind of sound you want for your music. So is it bright, dark, aggressive, balanced, soft and rounded? Think of what you want exactly. This is going to help a lot. Also think of stylistic preferences. Some genres may need artistic mud. If you produce like more classic house, it has to have a little bit of that mud because it's not gonna sound as classic, or it's not gonna have that. What was the word for that? It's just not gonna, let's say, just not gonna have this like signature and well-known sound for that, right? So also keep in mind the stylistic preferences. So again, at the end of the day, it's up to you to decide how your tracks are going to sound. And once you understand this, start learning mixing tools. I'll be making more mixing tutorials, so I will go deep on that. And also critical listening, really, really important. Regularly practice analyzing the mix of professional tracks using headphones, studio monitors, analyzers, to try to really feel how they are making the mixes. Okay, so for example, the type of the sound that I really, really like is going to be just balanced, really, really clean, not too aggressive, not super loud. I like dynamic mixes. This track is not like fully mixed, but I'm gonna play for you a couple of parts from this track. Right, so it's not too bright, it's not too dark, it's not muddy, it's balanced and clean. This is the sound that I really, really like. But for you, it may be like super aggressive, super loud, super bright, dark, like whatever is the thing that you like, okay? And then the second drop, just like quickly, I want to show you the main thing. So again, you can sort of get an idea of what kind of mixes I like. And then you have to decide for yourself, what kind of mixes do you like? So that's the whole thing in music, just like understanding what you want exactly, okay? So the next step, this one is really important, and so far that's been the most helpful thing in my musical journey. Number one thing that helped me to learn quickly is having a mentor. Like really, I'm gonna tell you my personal story a bit later. The problem is 90% of people, like roughly on average, I don't know like how many, but a lot of producers that I talk to, they just don't really used to invest in themselves. They will never invest, and you could use that as an advantage. Like think of how much better you will get if you actually invest in your career, in yourself, in your education. You're gonna be like the top 1%, right? And having a mentor allows you to get years and even decades of experience. You will learn on other people's mistakes. This will save you years of time and a lot of headache, frustration, discouragement. Like again, I was feeling depressed because I wasn't able to solve specific issues until I started working with a mentor. That's sort of the whole thing. So get at least some kind of mentorship, like depending on your budget, like whatever like that you want. Even if it's a group coaching, track feedback community, like super important. And like in fact, having a mentor allowed me to make more money on music. So you will get this investment back, like nevertheless. So you will make this money back, like trust me. I can tell you from my own experience, this stuff works. This is the picture that represents why it is so important to have a mentor. Let's say a mentor, he spent 12 years, 15 years, 20 years perfecting his craft. And as you can see in the picture, there was like so many things that he did wrong. And if you do the same thing, maybe you've been producing for 2 years and at this point you got a mentor, you can make the same progress, let's say like roughly in 5 years. And this is like fully possible, trust me. Like that's how it was with me, right? I'm teaching guys who been making music for 10, 15, 20 plus years. I'm like, most of my clients, they're like 30 plus, some are like almost 50, right? So that's the whole thing. So instead of going through the same pain, imagine how much faster you can achieve same results, if not even better, because you can learn on his mistakes, right? Now, time for a personal story. As I said in the beginning of this video. So in 2018, I was trying to make my first album and I was feeling miserably. I tried every YouTube mixing tutorial, but it didn't click. I lacked like a step-by-step system, like a process that I could follow. Once I worked with the mentor, he pointed at the mistakes that I had because I thought I was doing the right things. But the problem is you never understand unless you make the mistake or learn yourself. That's the problem when you're trying to learn everything yourself. And that's what I am making those videos at the end of the day, right? So I can share my experience and fast track your progress to professional sound, right? And at the end of the coaching program, I was able to come up with my own mixing system. And as a result of that, I started releasing on the labels because I could achieve that professional quality. So that was as a result of learning the system and making my tracks sound professional. I felt depressed and I was really considering quitting music. It affected my mood and mental health a lot, like really a lot. I was feeling really bad mentally, and in fact, if in the worst case, it could even affect your physical state. So really, really important point. And until I solved that problem, like I was feeling really bad. So like I don't wish this to anyone. So don't be afraid to invest. Like, what's the worst thing that could happen? You're gonna lose money? So what? You're gonna make the money back. Or like, come on, like you're still going to spend that money. You can either invest that like in a wise and smart way, or you can just go and waste that money on something stupid. I would rather waste my money on something that could potentially bring me results. But if I know that it's gonna give me results, so like you're not wasting money, you're still gonna learn something. There was no coaching program that I ever invested in that I regret investing in. I always learn something, no matter what. The next thing that I want to talk about is developing your own workflow. So this is the key to finishing tracks fast. So you should create your own sample library, signature presets, and so on. And I'm telling you should, because that works for me from my own experience. So I can imply that that's gonna work for you. It's not like a rule or something. So create templates for different styles, subgenres of music that you produce. And again, I really, really recommend watching this video that I recorded like 4 months ago, something like that. So go and watch it. I'm not gonna go like into much detail, but I'm gonna give you like a brief overview, how to develop your own workflow. Let's say you're making a couple of styles. So that's gonna be like tech house, melodic techno, organic house, something like that, right? So you want to create a super basic template with the signature sounds that you're using. So for tech house, one variation of kick, bass, drums, melody. For melodic techno, that's gonna be other kick, different drums, different melody, and different chords. So have presets, because that's gonna help you to finish tracks much, much faster. And the third example is gonna be organic house. So for organic house, you're gonna have different kick, different bass, say like orchestral drums, live instrument, that's gonna be different. And if you can have templates, that's gonna boost your creativity. So each template will include key elements so it's easier to start and finish the track. Helps a lot, trust me. The next thing is going to be the power of experimentation. So when you start to implement those tips, it will take you time. Like it will take you time until you start seeing the results. And depending on how hard you work, how much time you spend in music, or whether you work with a coach or not, it will take some time until things start to click. But when they start to click, the progress goes like up, like it just skyrockets. So it will take some time, don't worry. If you're dedicated, if you really want to make music work, if that's your passion and dream, don't give up, you will get there, trust me. But the sad truth is, majority of people will not get there, simply because they are not patient and dedicated enough. I had students who paid premium price for my flagship coaching program, and they never succeeded because they did something and then they just didn't continue. And this is something that I cannot affect. This is out of my control. And on the other hand, I had students who implemented every single tip that I gave them, and their experience, like the level, it just skyrocketed. So again, if you can stick to music long enough, you will get the results that you're looking for. And a couple of last things that I want to say when it comes to the power of the experimentation is force yourself to finish music. This is how I became really good at production. No matter how you feel, this is the most crucial skill. Like one thing that I have to say, like if you really hate the track, don't finish it. But if it's like, I just don't feel comfortable finishing it, maybe I'm struggling, force yourself to do it. Because once you do that, you're gonna learn so many new things. Every single track that I finish, I'm like, I'm still growing so much. It's insane, like how much of a progress I can make in just one track. So force yourself. And overall, just play around, have fun, do weird things, non-standard things, use like non-conventional, non-standard ways of processing, do just weird things. And this is how you will discover signature techniques and find your own sound. This is basically how you do it. And this is something that I did. So I can tell you from my own experience. So yes, that's pretty much it. Hope that you learned something valuable. And again, I promise if you implement those steps, you will find your signature sound very, very quickly. And if you need help with finding your signature sounds, then feel free to book a call with me, send me a message, let's work together. I would like to help you with your musical journey. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.